Hello, everyone. Good morning. It is Sunday. I was going to say October, Sunday, November 6th, and I'm Laurie Baracco, and I welcome you to this week's live stream. And I'm going to be talking about intuitive tracking. So I'll just hang out a moment or two to make sure everybody has received the notification that I am live here. So if you can see me and hear me, please let me know, say hello, and be great to hear or see where you're tuning in from. I do have a link to some of the material, that I'll be talking about today. I created a blog, so I'm going to drop that link into the chat box here. And I do think that on Facebook, it may not pop up. So I'm going to put it in the lounge, in the Astral Lounge for everyone to see. And I think I'm also live streaming on my Facebook page, Laurie Baracco. Okay, I see a few people saying, good morning, friends. So just give me a moment to pop on over. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. So we're in November now. Whew. Yeah, we're in November. And so we are also just wrapping up this eclipse season, which runs for about 2 weeks at a time. And we've got a full moon on the 8th, and that is that full lunar eclipse. So lots of changes, lots of shifts for all of us. And I know it's not always easy. It really isn't easy to shift gears in a moment, at a moment's notice, but sometimes we have a heads up. I should say we always have a heads up, but and we're just not sure what that heads up is or what those signs mean. So that's why I wanted to drop in this week and talk about intuitive tracking. Hello, good morning. I'm just checking in with everyone to make sure you can see me and hear me, and yes, the comments are working. Awesome. So I did pop in the link for you to my Laurie Baracco page, and I'll probably be sending out a newsletter with a link to that blog post as well. So hello, good morning, everyone. So it's the first day, the first morning of daylight savings here, and yes, I was up bright and early. I usually am up about 6 o'clock every morning. Today I was up at 5 o'clock. So hello, right? We say, oh, the babies and the animals have a hard time getting used to it. No, so do the adults as well. I think it's for all of us. And I know there's been talk about doing away with it, but here we are. We still have this taking place right now. So good morning. Hello, everybody. Lots bright, shiny faces. And I scheduled this at 10 a.m. and I thought, I've been moving the time around from 9:30 and then different days and sometimes 11 a.m. And I heard, no, this is perfect for today, 10 a.m. So good morning. Everybody's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Good morning, my friends. And so there are a few different things I did want to drop in and talk about. But first, let's get started. I have my smudge dish. I have white sage in here, and then I have Palo Santo. And so we're going to set the space for all of us, whether you're tuning in live or tuning in afterwards. Okay, so anybody watching on YouTube? I know this is linked up to YouTube, I believe, right? I think we're also on YouTube as well. That's what my check mark says. So I am streaming live on my Laurie Baracco business Facebook page and the Astral Lounge and YouTube. So good morning, everyone. All right, so we're going to get things started. I keep lighting this because it just feels just so right to cleanse and clear the last few weeks. Okay, so I've got my smudge, my smudge going. I've got my Palo Santo going. So let's all take that moment, and I can't even tell you how lovely this all smells and feels right away. So use your intuitive senses to tap in and align with this sacred blend from the sacred sage plant and the holy wood, the Palo Santo. And let's take a couple of nice breaths in and breathing in the higher consciousness of these cleansing beings, bringing in the light, bringing in support, realigning us with our higher self, our guides, our wisdom counsels, asking that we are in alignment, to be aligned, to be realigned with our divine purposes in this time, in this space, asking us to help with love and a gentle hand to help release and let go of and close doors and chapters that we know are no longer purposeful for us. And some of those chapters and those doors have joyful memories and experiences, but we are on an evolutionary path, and there's always another door to unlock that is unlocked with our wisdom of our higher self consciousness and our divine spark, and as we co-create with the creator and others. And I ask that spirit move through me and help me to articulate the words and the consciousness of those words and the vibration of my words to all those who are connected in here with us. And so it is. All righty. So good morning. All right. So, that felt so good. And I don't know if I've mentioned before, I probably have, that we have some readers and healers that are very sensitive to the smoke blends, to incense, to sage and Palo Santo. So it's a treat here sometimes to be able to smudge. And I know that there are other ways to shift energy, to bring in the light, such as sprays and aromatherapy and prayers and sounds and intention. But sometimes a really good smudging is exactly what's needed. All right. So good morning, everyone. So I did drop in a link. I'm going to drop it again. This is a blog, a channeling that has been knocking at my door for at least a month or so, and it wanted to be brought through to the realms, through the conscious realms for everyone here. So I've dropped that link in this chat here. I'm going to drop it in the lounge again, and I'm not sure if you can see it on my Laurie Baracco page. But hopefully you can. And if you can't, go to lauriebaracco.com and go to the blog section, the first blog up there. Anywho, so welcome in. I'm just going to get started with my notes and share what has been coming through very clearly. I mean, these messages or this concept or this teaching has been kind of like circling around me, right? So it's circling around me, like swirling around me a little bit here, tidbits here and there. And it really has been anchoring into my processes. So there is a plan. There is a plan for all of us, or I should say a plan or two. Yet we have periods of time in our lives where we feel lost, where we feel, or, we're questioning these drop-in random thoughts, insights that feel like they're coming from my higher self. Maybe not, but it's really random. And I don't even know how that could all come to be, how it's going to come together. And so for myself, this has been coming in. There's one journey that's been dropping in for, I would say, maybe 7 or 8 months. And I I've been questioning it, saying, how's it going to look, right? So then here comes another little tidbit, and then here come the little pieces to those puzzles. And it's like, oh, I get it. I see. Right? So we all have had those experiences in our lives. I know everybody has, but when you're in that in-between space, you're really questioning everything and everyone and many different aspects of your life. So I wanted to kind of give some form to that and help you with maybe some journaling prompts or meditation prompts to really navigate the inner realms and link up the signs, the symbols, the messages that drop in, the synchronicities, and kind of link it all up. Let's weave it together so it makes a little bit of sense, and it can help us navigate through those questionable times where we're in a way paralyzed by our fears and our anxieties and all of those trauma responses. So here we go. So I am going to share what I've written in the blog, and I'm going to toggle back and forth between the material here and the StreamYard platform to check in and see if there are any comments or questions. So my questions are, have you ever felt lost and unsure of what path to take next? Yes. Or wondered if you were wasting your time pursuing the current path to which you have dedicated your time and energy. Yes, 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 yes. You, my friends, are not alone. We all experience confusion. We feel lost and then struggle to find our internal compass, right? It's like, which way do I go? And so then we start questioning ourselves. We check in with others, and that then things start to get really murky and muddled because we're not sure, like, what, how do I make this decision, right? So I want to see any comments. Or yes, I know everybody has been in that space and on those journeys where it's like, oh, wait a minute, like this doesn't feel right, it doesn't look right. So I can feel something changing, but I'm not sure. And then if it changes, what the heck, I have invested so much time and energy over here, right? So there goes all the confusion. And so, yes, yes, right. So I see some of the comments are yes, absolutely. So, right. I got hands up. Yeah, absolutely. And Susan says, been there, definitely, yes, definitely lately. And then someone else, I'm not sure who, it says Facebook user, been there more than once. Yeah, right. So we've been there before. Um, so, but there's good news. We all have a built-in compass called our intuition. We all do. And there's always a divine plan that we aren't always privy to, but our higher self, our guides, and the other souls that we are co-creating with are privy, like their soul selves, their higher selves, their essence selves. These aspects or beings of us, aspects of us or beings of and beings of light, are privy. They're privy to the details of the divine plan. So there are plans, and I have ooh, that's right. Did you see that sparkle light that was like, yes. Let me get back to you here. So there is a plan or two or three, right? And so I have come to understand, this is through my journey, working with thousands of people, and within my own journey, right, in my own life, that the plan is kind of outlined here. The soul wants to have specific experiences. It's like, I want to experience this, this, and this, and this in this lifetime. Now, how those experiences come together and the mapping and the unfolding and the planning around that can change and shift based upon our consciousness and our free will. We are here to experience free will, yet there are also experiences that the soul wants to have. So it's a both and, right? So there are things, and I can hear the questions, are they set in stone? Well, I do think that there are milestones that the soul wants to experience. And if the soul doesn't experience those in a specific lifetime, then we may experience it in another aspect as a spirit guide or in another incarnation. And Lauren says, never seems black and white, which would seem easier. 100%, right? It's this or that. No? Oh, I've got an option. Okay. It's just like when people ask about relationships and soulmates. Say you're in a relationship with someone, then that relationship has certain dynamics within it, right? And so if the person you're in relationship with has some changes and they change their mind and their free will takes them in a different direction, then there's another person that we will fulfill the soul's destiny with, that will come along, right? That's why I encourage people to not be so attached to a specific outcome with a specific person, place, or thing, right? So because those dynamics can be tweaked a little bit if the condition, where the conditions are just right. I'm just going to check in a little bit to see some of the comments, and then I'll toggle back with some more of the material. Hello and good morning. So good to see everybody here. Good morning, Debbie Collins. And it is so good to feel your energy here in this circle. That's the thing too, is that we're not in the physical, but we are in the physical together. So I can feel everyone's energy. I can feel your energies. I can feel the connectedness that we have. And Roxanne has a question. How do you separate these urges from ego-based wanting? That's such a great question, right? So that's one of my tips. I don't know if you read the blog yet, Roxanne, but that's in there, right? Is my goal an ego-based goal or is it a soul goal? So we're going to cover that in just a little bit. So I don't know if you saw that already, that I had that in there in the material. So if you didn't see it, then you're pretty psychic, my friend, which we all are psychic. But let's see here. I will get to that. So if we are intuitive and have this internal GPS, why don't we have the facts? I believe it's because we're here to have the human experience and the details of what is planned and where our growth, healing, and alchemical transformation take place, right? So there is an ideal, right? That outline. However, we can learn to retrain our thought processes and track the signs and symbolism of our higher self and the spirit councils and our spirit council to anchor and ground ourselves as a way to prevent the anxiety and feelings of being overwhelmed when we are in that awkward in-between space. I will say this, though, that the more significant or drastic the change in our reality, the more potential for anxiety, right? Because sometimes we have this feeling like, I'm feeling unsettled. I'm feeling not quite like myself. I feel like there's a big change, but I don't know what it is. And oftentimes it's like we can feel that undercurrent, that wave kind of around us, right? So you could track that energy. That's that tracking that energy in your field of awareness. And so the larger the change, the more drastic the change. And drastic is not always a bad word, right? Because it could be a completely different shift into a different direction. And it's a drastic change. It just means it's significant. That significant change, the more potential for feeling overwhelmed is there. So Roxanne says, not yet, but we'll definitely review it later. I will get to it today, my dear. And the material too, right? So if you were to reflect upon your journey and recall the times when you were riddled with stress because you felt lost, you couldn't find let me back that up. If you were to reflect upon your journey and recall the times you were riddled with stress because you felt lost, you would find a rhythm as to how your intuition dropped in some clues as to where you were going, kind of like a treasure hunt, right? So it's like a treasure hunt. So here's a clue, here's a breadcrumb. Okay, that satisfied me for a little while. Okay, I see, right? So if you were to reflect upon your path, you would find that. We haven't been dropped here on this planet without assistance, even though we may feel as if we've been abandoned and that our spirit team has forgotten us. There's a treasure waiting for us on the other side of our challenges, and we are here to overcome these challenges and ancestral karmic patterns, right? So we are here to experience. Okay. So here are some of the tracking tips. Keep a journal nearby you at all times. You could have a written journal, or if you like to do the voice dictation, you could do that, or notes in your phone. Some people are really savvy with their phone and they're two-handed texters or typers, right? You can do that too. But try to keep that with you at times when you may feel overwhelmed or there's a sign or something that dropped in that's like, that's interesting, so that you can track it later and understand more so your own intuitive nature. So there will be intuitive messages and signs that you may forget later. That is the truth. You may forget these things later. And you're not imagining it. My lights are flickering a little here. So I think Spirit is like, having a good time with us, right? Like they're like, yes, there's a plan. Cue the lights, cue this, cue that, right? So keeping a log of your dreams, your intuitive messages and signs that are popping in and dropping in your life, you're going to start noticing the language or understanding the language of your soul, of your higher self, of your spirit self. Also, pay attention to the repetitive numbers that you see. Numbers are a wonderful way to get our sign that Spirit gets our attention. Now, yes, numbers can be connected with crossed over loved ones. They can be connected with your spirit guides, but those numbers and those sequences, they catch us to create a pause. Wait, stop. Let me see. Oh, there's my 444. Oh, there's the time. There's my change. 444, right? I had my coffee cup that said 444 a couple of weeks ago because I was customer number 444, right? That created a pause for me, like, okay, so What was I thinking about? What was going on? That's my validation number. Those are my angels, right? So you're able to track that. So pay attention to those numbers, right? The time, license plates, your change. I don't know, like a recording. Sometimes with my recordings, my private sessions and so on and so forth, I'll see how long that was recorded, right? So that also is a way that spirit helps with coordinating and helping me to pay attention, right? So like right now we're live at 20, almost at 2020, 20 minutes and 20 seconds, right? So 2020. So I'm going to take that as, oh, seeing clearly 2020 vision, right? I'm able to see some things clearly. And I ask spirit to help me with recognizing those sequences and the numbers to catch my attention. And I thank spirit for those. Okay. I just see some more comments here. And so I do see someone says, oh, my friend, on the edge of overwhelmed constantly lately. So hopefully this, this chat is going to help you, right? This live event, hopefully, right? So the beautiful thing is even to give it an acknowledgement, like, you know what, I'm really feeling overwhelmed. Let me be with that for a moment, right? Let me stop, pause, connect with my spirit self, my helpers, my guides, my higher self, and ask for the guidance, the wisdom, the support to help me through all of this. Yeah. All right. Good morning. Good morning, Marnell. All right. So I'm going to go back to my notes here. So for those who are just tuning in, I did drop a link in this recording of the blog post that I wrote, which is what I'm referring to. So check in with the solar plexus and the heart chakras. And I just realized that I'm wearing yellow, right? I changed my outfit a few times, but I'm also wearing blue. But check in with your solar plexus and heart chakras. What are they telling us? And why the solar plexus and the heart? Well, the solar plexus, because this is your will center. It's your sensitivity to energy, your divine will, and your heart. What is my heart telling? My true heart of hearts, my inner heart, my higher self heart, my unconditional self, and my solar plexus. So what are these energy centers telling me? Are they saying that something isn't right? Or do you experience a calmness as you inquire about the situation? No. So taking your hands, and you could switch them up, right? Your left hand on your heart or your right hand on your solar plexus, however you feel. I find that I do it, my right hand on my heart, my left hand on my solar plexus. And ask yourself, what is it about this situation that has me unsettled? What is it? And then wait a moment to receive the message, right? So tune into these two energy centers. Are there other energy centers that may support you better with tuning in and navigating through situations? Sure. Do what feels right, whatever energy centers, but use two hands, right? Really, it creates this, pay attention, right? Pay attention to what's going on here, because you do need a little bit of coordination to do this and to tune in and link up with those two energy centers as well. Okay. When feeling frustrated, ask yourself whether your goal is ego-based or soul-based. There is a difference. If you are pushing towards an ego-based goal, you will experience even more frustration and walls as you try to ignore and overlook the intuitive tracking signs. So there are the breadcrumbs, there are the hints, there are the suggestions. So I'm asking spirit for a suggestion. So what would just like an example would be? Sorry, not a suggestion, an example. An example might be that I really, really, really want to buy Starbucks. Because I love coffee. I'm just gonna say that's a really weird one, but that's what came in. I want to buy a Starbucks. I really want to buy a Starbucks because I love coffee, and then I could have that coffee feeling, and so on and so forth. Because then I could save money doing that, and blah 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 blah. And I just think it would be so cool to own a Starbucks, right? So that's an ego-based thing, right? And that may not be part of my destiny. Do I know a lot about coffee beans? Nope. Do I have a gift with making coffee? Not really, because I hit the Keurig, and even when I have to add coffee grinds to the filter, it's usually off and I make a mess. And I often will sometimes get that filter clogged. So it creates this whole big mess, right? So that may not be my jam, but my ego wants to because, wow, Starbucks, if I have enough money to buy Starbucks, and I will have made it and so on and so forth because they're a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. And so that is ego based. And I'm really wanting to move towards that. And I'm not paying attention to it. And I might feel frustrated because my spirit team is like, seriously? You seriously want to do that? You really have forgotten what you're here to do. You're here to inspire others, to develop your own intuition, to inspire others to trust themselves and heal and to move through their soul challenges. You're here to create a space for people to come to where they feel comfortable and they can thrive and heal and feel comfortable and safe when exploring their spirit connections with their higher self. And you're here to educate, and you're here to educate people to help unlock different self-sabotaging patterns. Starbucks is a cool idea, but it's not the main reason why you came here, or one of the main reasons you came here. Okay. And so that is an example, right? So that would be ego-based rather than soul-based. You probably will hit a lot more roadblocks, and those signs will keep popping up, whether people ask for private sessions or you receive emails that say people will share, you have changed my life. Your center has changed my life. Your book has changed my life. Just that one card of the day changed my life. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but I really want to do the Starbucks, right? So not paying attention to the energy and the flow. And it might even be that you hear, oh, Starbucks is not opening any more locations. I think they're a franchise, right? And so they've shut down the franchise saying, well, I still want to do it though, right? So ignoring the signs and not going within and really looking at it, maybe tuning with the heart chakra and the solar the heart chakra and the solar plexus, not tuning in with them. You know, that's a really interesting thing how I just did that. So what I just heard is tuning into your heart chakra and asking, what is going on with my solar plexus, right? What would my solar plexus say? And then flipping it. I just heard to flip it and ask those questions from that other chakra's point of view. So that's an interesting thing that might even fit into this ego-based thing. What's the truth in my unconditional love, and what is ego-based with my will and my determination to take over all the Starbuckses in the world, right? So that's something to maybe work with for yourself and flip those. So I do hope that helped clear that up a little bit, Roxanne. The earth is an oracle. Many messages are sent to us through the weather, the birds, aromas, and even plants and trees. So pay attention to the birds, the sounds, the hawk in the distance, the feather in front of a bookstore, right? Pay attention to those things, right? You might even see a snake in front of something that might even create a message for you that you might say, oh, there's something really sneaky here. Or the coyote, you might see the coyote. Oh, there's tricky stuff around this. So the earth is an oracle, and there are signs and messages all the time. Even in the clouds, you could see pictures and initials and receive scrying messages from the clouds. So the earth is an oracle. There are messages that are being sprinkled all over for us. Thank you, light. The light's like, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so the next suggestion or tip is when you are feeling stagnant and lost, meditate more frequently. You don't need to spend hours in meditation. 10 to 20 minutes is plenty of time to tune out the outside world and connect with your higher self, right? So tune out the outside world and tune into, I should have put, your higher self, right? So 10, 20 minutes is enough to regroup. It's really a regrouping and to get in touch with these energy centers and what your inner self is suggesting and saying and helping you to map out all of this, to navigate through all this. So I'm going to read Roxanne's comment. Yes. Okay. Thank you. This definitely helped. I felt like I could discuss ego versus purpose for hours. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here. What is ego and what is purpose? ego is purposeful, right? It helps us get out of situations where we may have an overabundance of confidence to help us with an inflated ego to get us the heck out of certain situations. Have you ever said things where you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that, but it was right. Right? So there is that, right? Where it's like, wow, that came out of nowhere and I was a little bit more forceful than I meant. But in hindsight, thank God I did that, because there was some sneakiness in that situation, right? So yeah, you could see where ego comes in and it gives you that boost of confidence sometimes. But the beautiful dance, it's a dance, right? Between what is my spirit self, what is intuition, and what is ego based, and my lower self, my lower personality self. And we could talk about that for days. Oftentimes it's easier to see it in another person, right? All right, so the next one is to work on your wide angle vision skills. Wide angle vision is the ability to sense the energies from the corners of your eyes. You'll be able to track the subtle energies around you, right? So as you are in your space, you'll start to notice maybe there's a shift in the vibration, right? So it's kind of focusing maybe on an object, but not looking at something, right? The corner of your eye. If you kind of like relax and try to focus, and you don't even have to have your eyes open. It's called wide angle vision. And you can track it, right? You can track some differences or change in the frequency and the flow of energy around you. You can even hear subtle changes. You can hear with your clear audience. You could see it with your psychic eyes, your clairvoyance, right? So that wide angle vision, if you learn to, that's what's so wonderful about stopping and regrouping, because then you kind of are in that not kind of, but you are in that observation mode. It's like, okay, I could see it, I can feel it, I can navigate through it, and it drops in. I'm just going to check some comments here. So Joe says, ego was traditionally the survival instinct. Absolutely, right? That I got to do this now, right? And it kicks in, right? And superhuman strength and superhuman confidence, right? Overconfidence. And someone says, I didn't realize that that's what that's called. Yeah. So we can do that. And as you do that, your intuition is going to get stronger. Your ability to trust that you can make really good decisions for yourself and your life, that comes with that wide angle vision. All right, the next one is, so some random thoughts aren't random and are clues to what is possible. This is where we begin to notice an outline of the puzzle and the pieces start to fall into place. When this happens, we can breathe a sigh of relief as the divine plan begins to form, right? So the deck I'm using for the month of November is the Dream Keeper's Tarot, and the Temperance card has puzzle pieces, right? So you could see that, oh, that's such a beautiful visual with that, right? That is our plan. And that's part of the randomness that we're observing and noticing. Now, sometimes, oh, my teacher, my high priestess Holly will say, sometimes a sign is a sign. It's nothing more, it's nothing less, right? Or like, this is a cup. That's all it is a cup. And that's what it is in the moment, right? So sometimes the randomness is something subtle. Sometimes it's nothing, right? So, and sometimes we have to laugh at that, right? It's like, I really spent so much time trying to figure out what that was, and it really was nothing. There was no double meaning, no hidden meaning, no spirit meaning, none of that. Sometimes it just is what it is. But the randomness, as you start to document it, right, in your journal, in your phone, you'll start to notice a rhythm, a language that is your language, and you'll be able to understand it and then rest, right? Have that moment, that sigh of relief, like, oh yeah, that's what that was. Right? So we all have experienced that. So I'm going to read Marnell's comment. Talk about signs. Temperance keeps coming up for me. Your card of the day, and now I'm in my own card pull. See? So that's not random, right? So what is it about temperance? And so I'm sure you have already been asking that question. And I do want to just say this. Temperance is learning how to navigate through life, really fine tuning your natural gifts. It has many meanings, but why are you here? You're probably at that crossroad. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do with these gifts? And I'm feeling maybe depleted, or I feel things are lackluster. So temperance is coming in. It's hearing the call. It's hearing the call, right? So Lauren says, that's just Freud. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Yeah, she probably did quote Freud, but yeah, that's where it stuck in the last place that I had heard it. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren. Is it Lauren or Lauren? And Marnell says on point. Very good. I'm glad to hear that. Spirit usually is pretty on point, right? So remember that each of us has an intuitive language, and the symbolism and messages will vary from person to person, right? So that was my message with temperance. But what does temperance mean for you as you journey down the temperance pathway? Learning how to fine-tune your intuitive tracking ability will help you move into a calmer, more trusting state of being, rather than panicked when you don't know which direction to move into next. If you don't know, then wait. Right? If you don't know, wait. But when you're waiting, you're collecting data and assurance from the universe that there's a plan. Just hang tight. You're being patient. It's like being in a car with as a kid. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? How long is it going to be till we get there? Right? So that is that's what Spirit's saying to us. Like, oh my gosh, just hang tight. There's a plan. That's that, right? So that's part of that ego thing, right? But if you are to slow it down and tune in to the inner self and use some of these suggestions, these are just a few of the suggestions, right? There are crystals and oils and mantras and affirmations that you can work with as well. Your soul knows that there are clues, tips, hints, and breadcrumbs just ahead. Relax and enjoy the wild ride. So I'm going to tune in here. Okay, and so Lauren, like Sophia, Lauren. Got it. Thank you. Joe says, waiting as always is the hardest part. Absolutely, 100%, because then here comes some of those tricky options. Like, oh, maybe I'll go do this. And it's like, nah, right? Nah. And so then you start the process of elimination of asking yourself, what is flowing? Where am I feeling drained? Where's the most stress in my life? Is it because I'm fighting a flow, a change, a direction? Yeah. Well, I hope that today's topic assisted a little bit and gave you some food for thought. Lauren says yes. All right. So to go along with today's topic, I selected the Sacred Destiny Oracle by Denise Lynn. And so I don't know if anybody has any more comments or questions, but in the meantime, I am going to shuffle a little bit. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so let's see what we've got here. So Roxanne's question is overthinker struggle to just simply breathe during the pause? I think so. I think so, right? So the overthinking, it's like, I just got to get out of my head. I've said it. I know you have all said it. It's like, okay, or other people have said it too. You just get out of your head right now. So you're trying to think of all the different options, and then really it's turn off the engine, turn off the mind motor, let it rest, and then start it up again. It's kind of like right? Whenever the devices are acting up, shut it off and restart it, reboot it, right? So shut it off for a little while. So we have to do that with our cable, with different devices, your phone, just shut it off and restart it, reboot, right? That's that overthinking, which means pause, knock it off for a minute. Just check some comments. Absolutely. I'm glad that this helped. And thank you. Thank you. Yes, my Facebook user, sorry you missed the replay. Pop it up later. You missed it live, check it later. Christine, hello, Christine Oshu. How can we practice more self-love in our lives? Whew, that's a lot, right? So how can we practice more self-love in our lives? I'm going to listen in for a second to see what they want to bring through, or I'll focus my attention over there. Well, first thing I'm hearing is boundaries. boundaries with other people and situations, right? So am I going into that people pleasing? And where am I allowing myself to be pulled off of the path of focus for myself? Also being mindful of what's going on inside our thoughts. What's going on with our thoughts, our mind looping, that inner self, what's going on there, right? So some of the suggestions that I had in this blog may actually help, right? So that sacred pause, paying attention to the signs, having the question and voicing it to yourself, to spirit out loud. How can I practice more self-love in my life? Sending that inquiry, that intention out into the universe is asking for the answer and the suggestions and the pathway for us to come back. So self-love is going to look different for each and every one of us, right? For some of us, self-love is not being a workaholic. For some of us, self-love is not smoking or drinking or eating too much chocolate. For some of us, self-love is ending an unhealthy relationship or leaving an unhealthy job or communicating, being honest with yourself. So self-love is going to look different for each and every one of us. And Joe says, I have found that the answers for me come in the pauses. Usually they do. And sometimes people will go to a reader, an advisor, a therapist to have something validated for them of what they were feeling and checking in that way. You're welcome, Christine. All right, so with my deck, the Sacred Destiny Oracle. I'm always curious to see, when was this created? I'm going to see when this feels like this is an older deck. Just double checking, just curious. Okay, not that old. It's 3 years old. I have some decks, right, that are 30 years old out there that I'm still selling. But the thing is that there are so many new decks coming in. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so that's a whole other thing. Okay, Sacred Destiny cards. So I am going to shuffle the cards, and the inquiry is, what is a message from my higher self that that's not sticking, that's not landing with me these days in regards to my path? So I just made that up. Okay. That's a good question. All right. So here's one. Here's card number 2. Here's card number 3. What is the message from spirit that I am not receiving, that's not landing for me these days? What is my takeaway for today? Card 1, 2, or 3. And it might be all 3. Okay, so 1, 2, or 3. Here we go. So you chose number 1. They're alphabetized. I love it. Sometimes they're not. Okay, so the first one is illumination. Illumination. Hold on. I just want to see which part I want to. So the sacred landscape wants you to know the upward spiraling mists rising in the mountains suggest that those in the realm of spirit, your spirit protectors, ancestors, and guardians, are close at hand, assisting you on the upward journey of illumination. They are protecting you and supporting you. Your spiritual life is expanding by leaps and bounds. Even if you can't see what's ahead, spirit is close at hand. If you draw this card, trust your heart and what you feel more than what you see and what you think, and will be guided in a wondrous direction. Did that not just say to tune into your heart chakra and your solar plexus, which is your feeling center? Stop. That's crazy, right? That's interesting. How fun is that? But so you are on an evolutionary path, as we all are. However, you may feel like there is like, I'm not getting all of this. So your spirit team wants you to know that help is all around you. And you may be missing their messages. If you chose number 2, it's protection. This is the guardian oak. The sacred landscape wants you to know one of the most potent signs on the sacred landscape is the ancient oak. It carries numerous meanings. You are protected. You can weather anything. Your roots go deep. You are brave, and you can survive anything. Stand strong. You carry the energy of a leader and you have great authority in life. Great wisdom is expanding within you and others sense this. And others sense this, excuse me. This card can also mean to protect your assets, take care to guard and protect your home, your loved ones, and yourself. So knowing that just willy-nilly letting all energies and into your space is not recommended. You are protected, but don't be lazy with your spiritual energy, with your higher self energy, with your sacred objects. Are you giving things away? Are you not being mindful? Are you being gullible, right? In hopes that that everybody is trustworthy and so on and so forth with people pleasing. So that's, you are protected. And then the last one is purity. Purity. This is the first snow. And the sacred landscape wants you to know, no matter what has happened in the past, everything can be fresh and new again. The purity of your soul is shining through everything that you encounter. You are entering into a period of grace. Simply open your heart and know that the best is yet to be. The past does not need to equal the future. Your future can be and will be shimmering, sparkling, and bright. Old limiting patterns are dropping away. Recurring challenges are releasing. This is a time of redemption, forgiveness, and holy healing. So you might be in that in-between space. You might be in that in-between space. Do know that there is a shifting, a releasing that's part of this eclipse that's been coming up for us at this time. All right, so I'm going to read some of the comments, and you're very welcome. And Joe says, I chose one, but there is a sign, but here is a sign. I am listening to this while woodworking a piece of oak right now. Awesome. See, there are breadcrumbs and treasures everywhere. And someone says, I love that message. Well, I hope that this opened up the opportunity for you to navigate, to contemplate, to maybe work with some journal prompts with this material. And there's no coincidence when we're all together of who's together and how we come together, that there are themes in our collectives. Let me see. You're welcome. Perfect messages. And Susan says all three of those were perfect for the class message, right? Isn't that interesting? How cool is that, right? That's a sign. All right, everyone. Oh, Roxanne says 1 and 3 called to me and definitely resonated. Thank you so much. This topic is great. You're very welcome. And so with that being said, I almost forgot that I was going to mention something. So I'm in the process of creating something new. And I do need some feedback. So if you're in the Astro Lounge or on other platforms like YouTube or I guess my Facebook page. So there's an aspect of this new project that I am birthing, in the process of birthing. I have some test things, right? There are some test runs that are going to be taking place. So there's a section that it's a Q&A. So it would be a Q&A, like the questions are more of like psychic questions, not like, am I going to move? They're questions about like, say, like metaphysics or some of the questions that were asked here today. And so I'm going to be choosing between 3 and 5 that are going to go into this trial run. And I invite you to, gosh, let me think about that, how I'm going to do this. I'm probably going to create a form for people to fill it out so that I can enter your email in so that you can submit those questions and receive that trial run. So just keep an eye out for it. So I will post it in the Astral group. It'll be like a form survey thing in the Astral group and maybe on YouTube too, as well as the Facebook page. Yeah. So just keep an eye out for that, because I was thinking, well, we could do it in the newsletter, but I'm going to mention it this morning. So keep an eye out for that. I'm pretty excited. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So have a wonderful week. Remember, we've got a full moon coming up. We're at that tail end of this eclipse season. So what needs to come to light for our evolutionary path is coming to light. I just want to check in a couple questions here. A comment. 3 weeks ago, Strawberry Moon says, while I was driving home, a coyote crossed in front of my vehicle. On the second week, another coyote crossed in front of my car again while crossing a bridge. On the third week, I saw a coyote down on the road. On the right side of the road on a morning. And I mentioned, right? So I mentioned the coyote, right? So what does that mean? So it's like I've that really is for you to navigate, down that pathway. But I will say, I'm hearing strike one, strike two, three strikes, you're out. So three chances, three situations, right? So 1, 2, 3, right? It's like I gave you one. What? Shame on me. Shame on you. Shame on me. That's it, right? No third try. So that's what I keep getting. 1, 2, 3, three strikes, you're out. And so there's something there for you with that. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing everybody soon. Have a great week. And thank you all so much. Namaste. Bye-bye.